Thanks for joining us today, guys. I am Bryce.
I am Amber, Director of Community Relations with Select Home Care.
Oh, and I'm the Director and owner of Select Home Care. So today we're talking about payment sources. So huge question for families. It's always that's kind of the last part of our evaluation or assessment is we get to this point where we go, okay, mom, dad, self, spouse, whoever, I need help. They need help. How do I afford it? Right.
Yeah, it's one of the harder conversations during the assessments we do with families when we come in your home and we start developing that relationship and we start discovering the level of care that your loved one or yourself might need. So yes, exactly. Towards the end of that assessment, what we're going to do is then we're going to break down what we've learned and then how we're actually going to pay for the care. We accept 3 types of payment sources. To somewhat rattle them off. So we are private pay. So that is something that just comes out of your private funds. We accept VA benefits, whether you apply for them, whether the VA reaches out to us directly, as well as a more common one that we've gotten an influx of lately is long-term care insurance.
So VA has a ton of things that the VA is huge, right? And so there's some tips and tricks there that we'll cover in another video, as well as long-term care insurance. We're going to talk in generals about it, but there's a whole other conversation that can be had and will be had about really what is long-term care insurance, how much does it cost, what are my benefits, what kind of different types. It can get long. The easiest ones, though, right? Let's start with everybody's favorite, the free one, right? VA, right? So simply put, the VA here in Phoenix typically provides somewhere between 2 hours a visit. I've seen it go as high as 4 or 6 hours a visit, but they provide that somewhere between 3 and 5 times a week. That's based on not on finances, which is really good for families that are they have a veteran but maybe are a little more financially well off and are really looking to start a home care experience with a family member and then maybe grow more from there. But it's a great opportunity if you're a veteran to get some free care.
So when you're going the VA route, if there is a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, we can be a major resource in directing you where to find out how to fill out the paperwork. What paperwork exactly do you need from your personal paperwork, that the VA is going to need from you. So we can be a resource to help that process go a little easier.
Once you get in with the VA, and again, this is specific to the Phoenix VA. I can't stress that enough. Every VA runs not independently, but just runs differently. And so here in Phoenix, the way that we typically see it happen is once somebody's been evaluated by a VA physician, then they are referred, and within a couple of days, we have approval to start care, and we renew that, and that typically lasts for the life of the veteran. It's not a guarantee. If they get remarkably better, they may decide to cut services, but the requirement for that is that you are missing what's called 2 of the ADLs. So that the most common ones that we see are things like you need help walking around, or you're in some way incontinent. That can be I have accidents infrequently. That can be really anything in that range. But other ones include walking, transferring, eating, toileting, continency. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting them. That's a terrible look. But
he qualifies for one of those too.
Exactly. I'm in the memory care end. So by just having a few of those things, I always say talk to your physician about like worst case scenarios. Like on my worst day, this is what's going on. And then, like I said, we're a provider, as well as there's a lot of other phenomenal providers in the VA healthcare system, and they get you referred over real quick, and you've got that for life.
Yeah. Any help is good help at that point. I think moving on to probably if I had to rank the 3, this is going to be our most common source, is going to be private pay.
Absolutely.
So the private pay is pretty much exactly how it sounds. How you pay for your care is just through personal finances, whether it's be checking, savings, investments, investments, just your private owned money and assets help pay for your care. And sometimes that's a difficult decision to make when it is private pay, because you want your money to last as long as possible. So that's another conversation we'll have with you, where we can help, I don't want to say justify the cost, but we can help, weigh the pros and cons to, needing care and pay for it, and then, how much is it going to cost? So private pay is our most common source.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not everyone is a veteran, so that kind of excludes that population. And then our third, not everyone has a long-term care insurance policy. So I just segued right into that one.
Yeah, that's perfect. So with that long-term care insurance, I just like to point this out at the beginning. Long-term care insurance is not Medicare. It is not Medicaid. Long-term care insurance is a standalone insurance policy, and it's also not your life insurance. That's the other thing I get all the time. They're like, oh, I have a life insurance policy. Very, very different. In some cases, you may be able to use funds, and we may eventually put out a lesser-known ways to pay for care to talk about some of those life insurance caveats. But long-term care insurance policies in general range from anywhere from a couple $100 a month to large lump sum payments, and the purpose of that is literally to pay for long-term care. That's it. And so if you have a long-term care insurance policy, some of the big providers are folks like Genworth. I think AIG has a policy. There's all sorts of good folks out there that do that, and the product again is meant that you pay or have paid into a pot, and then you get some larger sum out of it when you need care. And so it's very complicated, unfortunately, to find out exactly what you have. And if you've gotten your policy more than a year or two ago, you're going to find that while the policy terms are going to be the same, your benefit is going to hopefully have increased. But that's why we offer a wonderful long-term care insurance audit, absolutely free of charge. The idea behind it is that as we've been doing this, we have found that people think they know what their long-term care insurance has and is offering, but they don't know things about, like, is there a delay to how soon I can start receiving care?
So we're going to be a wealth of knowledge for you to walk through those policies as well. And if for some reason we don't know, we're going to help find you the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's better to know that stuff earlier. So even if you're thinking about wanting to have that conversation with mom, dad, spouse in another, in another 2-3 years, but you just see the slowing down starting, get the audit done now so that you understand where things are at and what it entails. A good example is, sometimes if you've received home health visits, so if you've had a skilled nursing visit, that may count to reduce the number of days before you can start using your policy. And we see oftentimes, like in the case of hospice, a lot of policies allow you to completely do away with the elimination period. So those are the kind of things that you want to know before you're in that moment, because heaven forbid, you have a 100-day waiting period and you're dealing with an end-of-life situation and your policy doesn't have that sort of rider. You want to know that ahead of time. Again, that's not an 11th hour kind of activity to check.
Right. And nobody, I think we can say this for every single video we do. No one has trained or planned to schedule home care for yourself or your loved one. So I think it's important that, we're a resource first.
Absolutely.
And a service second. We'll repeat that as much as possible because that's truly what we believe in. So, my question leaving to you guys as we end this week's video is, is there another payment source that you have questions about? Would we accept it? Can it piggyback off one of the 3 that we talked about? So, think that over, and we'd love to hear from you guys. Drop your questions, in the comments about if we accept something, or if you have a very specific question about one of the 3 payment sources that we talked about today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.